Hey everybody, Milton Davis here, and this is 11 Questions. And today is a special 11 Questions because we're focusing on the new animated series, Playing the Odds. And I'm privileged to have the master himself, the master animator himself, Mark Vizion Barnes, with us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about, his process, Playing the Odds, and some other cool things as well. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to give people a little bit about who you are. I'm going to read your bio first before we get started.
Okay.
Mark Barnes, 3D animator and visualist, was born in New York in 1986 and lived in the Bronx until 2000. His grandmother brought him his first computer when he was 9 years old, and he's been hooked ever since. Mark moved to Atlanta in 2002 and began creating visuals using credit scenes and PowerPoint. He also drafted, housed in CATE and CAD programs for fun. In 2005, he graduated to Photoshop, editing pictures and creating custom MySpace pages. Mark began shooting videos in 2007 for local Atlanta artists and created his first YouTube series, Props TV, in 2009. 2010 found Mark working on it with his music company, 2020 Entertainment,
Yes.
creating beats and graphics. He eventually transitioned into doing music visuals in 2012. Mark also downloaded Cinema 4D during this time, which was his introduction to 3D design and animation. While Jurassic got Mark interested in pursuing 3D visuals, it was Industrial Light and Magic that was his main inspiration. Mark's main goal is to find new and innovative ways to produce high-quality visuals for effective storytelling without breaking the bank. So I want to start a little bit by talking about how I met Mark. My journeys on Facebook, I ran into some of his animation and it blew me away. I think the first thing I saw by him was a visual of this giant dragon or creature, something walking across, and it was people were running from him and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, this is amazing. And from that point on, I was following his work. And I started reaching out to him, and then we started communicating. And I'm like, if I do an animation, this is the brother that I want to work with. And so over the years, we talked about stuff, and we met other people. We met Paula Wilson, Sound, Otis Galloway, and other people that we both knew. And then the ideal of Playing the Odds came up, and that was the project that we decided to work together. So I'm going to start a little bit before that and just talk and ask Mark some questions in general, and we'll get back to that. I guess the first question I have is, what led you to animation? What was it about animation that caught your interest and sparked you to do this amazing work that you do?
Probably my childhood, watching a lot of cartoons. Of course, I like to draw. I still remember watching Aladdin when it came out, Aladdin the cartoon, when it came out in the movie theater. And when I went home the next morning, I was drawing Aladdin as stick figures. Like all the characters I would draw as stick figures. But I still wasn't satisfied because the characters couldn't move. So probably a couple of weeks later, my grandmother went and bought me a flip book. And that's when I started drawing stick figures in the flip book to get them animating. So I think since a child, it's always been in my head to have these characters moving. Like even with toys, it's the same exact thing. When we have toys, we're trying to animate the toys, but we have to continuously do it with our hands. So I look at animation similar to that. It's like playing with toys, except you kind of guide the characters to animate a certain way, and they can continuously do that over and over again. So definitely childhood. I'm still a big kid. I never really lost my inner child, so I think that's what kind of brought me into animating.
And you've been doing a great job with it as well. So going from animation in general, I know you've done a number of different types of projects. You work with music videos and different things like that. What was it about Playing the Odds that about this storyline that made you interested in developing this into a series?
Everything about the story, the fact that it shows our people, one, doing something that's really, really cool in a sci-fi genre or Afrofuturistic genre. I'm a big sci-fi nerd. I grew up on Star Trek, Star Wars, a lot of other sci-fi shows. So I think seeing us in that light, even Star Trek Deep Space Nine was one of my favorite Star Treks because the captain was Black, Benjamin Sisko. So seeing something that's sci-fi that has our people in it that's actually good. It's not something that's cheesy, something that's stereotypical. You have some thugs and some cops and some regular stuff going on, people selling drugs, whatever the case is. Like, this is something that's creative, it's innovative, and it shows us in a good light. So I think that's something that shouldn't just be a one-off. It should be something that's ongoing. Something that we can even outlive us. We may have to hire another team. After we're going to continue this story. But I think these are more the things that we need, though.
Yeah, I think and I'm really happy that when we talked about this idea that you were ready to do it and get on board with it. What was some of the, I guess a good question is, what was some of the challenges in doing this process? Had you done something like this before, as far as working on a series, or is this your first time working on something like this?
This is my first time working on an episode for a series. I've done the longest animation that I had done before was about 4.5 minutes. And with that animation, it was very all over the place, not necessarily in a bad way, but there wasn't as much consistency as far as the storyline was concerned. So I think I had a lot of the knowledge as far as how to do the animation, how to put a lot of the stuff together. But I think one of the major challenges was being able to execute the story through that animation and being able to do that the right way. There were a lot of things that I feel like next time we'll know to discuss ahead of time, so it should shorten the timeline as far as the entire workflow. But a lot of the challenges were lessons learned, just how to do certain things the right way. Also understanding the technology. What are the limits of the technology? Some of the things that we were trying to do were past the technology that we have available at the moment. So just understanding the limits of the technology, understanding how to do things the correct way. Those were the challenges that we're being run into with this project. But like I said, those were lessons learned. So next time we have a whole list of things on how to do them the right way.
So this is a question. One of the things I always like about interacting with artists is that when you give them a concept or something to work with, they always bring their own flavor and their own touch there. And I would say that's the same thing I saw when we did Playing the Odds. I knew the storyline you were working on, and I knew how the story was going to be told. But at the same time, I'm looking at your interpretation of it and some of the things that you're adding, the nuances, like in the characters and their expressions and stuff like that. So it also shows that not only are you an animator, but you also have that feel as a director, because you're imagining how the characters would look and how they would enter buildings and stuff like that. How important is that for a person that's developing an animation? And where would you say that those skills came from as far as you working? Was it stuff that you did from studying film, or is it, you just good like that?
No, definitely not just good like that. I feel like we all have that skill when we choose to tap into it, because we've all watched movies, watched TV shows. The subtle facial expressions, all those things speak to us, even though they may not be loud and apparent. We notice them. We can tell the difference between somebody being upset or somebody being scared. I think just recalling a lot of those things and even just rewatching movies and just paying attention to subtle things kind of drives you in that direction of understanding how should the facial expressions look. And even still, there's a lot of work to be done to even build up on that. I would love for the characters to be a lot more expressive. I believe in one of the comments, somebody was talking about the blinking of the eyes. That's, subtle details like that are very, very important. So as the episodes go on, there'll be a lot more of that expression, a lot more of those subtle details. But it definitely comes from work that's already been done, work that I've seen, work that we've all seen, and just kind of recalling that, just human behavior, and other topics like that.
I do remember the person making that statement about that, but at the same time, there was another person that had commented on the animation who had experience, and he was talking about how some of the timing that he saw in the animation and the weight that he saw in the animation was something that he saw lacking in even some high quality productions. So it, from seeing that itself, it shows that we're starting with a great foundation, what you're bringing to the table as far as animation is concerned, and being able to have those qualities in there. And it's been the consensus overall has been, we like this stuff. Is entertaining. It's entertaining, and we want to see episode 2. But getting back to that question, I brought up a little bit about the challenges. What would you see was probably some of some of the major hurdles while making this series, this episode?
I would say the pre-production process probably was the main thing that led to any of the hurdles during production. Not having certain things just ironed out to a certain level of detail. I think that there's a certain level of attention to detail that needs to be paid for a production like this, especially when you're doing something episodic that I was not familiar with before. So getting into it and not understanding that that was required ahead of time definitely did lead to a lot of those challenges as far as uh, everything from what the character looked like to how the character's body language is going to be, the color of the clothing, everything all the way up to the environment, how the environment was going to look, the club, the city. I think in pre-production, sitting down and ironing out a lot more of that would decrease a lot of the challenges in production next time.
Okay. So we talked about challenges, but this is the question I have you. What are you most proud of about this production? What are the things that you were able to accomplish this, technically and overall that make you happy when you think about this production?
Besides the lessons learned, I think the completion of the overall project is something that I'm proud of. Just getting from the beginning to the end, having something that people can watch and enjoy and understand, because I think that's the key thing. People can watch whatever you create, but to have them understand where the story is going through these visuals, uh, from beginning to end, and not be lost. How did this character get from this place to this place, and how did this character do this, or why they did this? I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of, that people watch it and they understand it.
Okay. Now this is for our technical people who are trying to do animation themselves and stuff. Um, we had, of course, special restrictions and stuff, and when it comes to creating this animation, and I guess what I'm talking about is the assets that were used when we made this animation.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that, because a lot of people may not know it, but um, this was not a custom production.
No.
Talk about that a little bit, and how you were able to work with that in order to create this.
Sure. So if you're in 3D right now, there's a lot of assets that are available online and they're free. If you're using Unreal Engine, which is the engine that we use to create episode 1 of Playing the Odds, there are a lot of free assets in the marketplace that you can use for your productions. They're readily available, and it's a community of people. So the same way that you would normally go and hire somebody to build a custom asset, there are artists out there that create their own assets for you to utilize for your projects, whether you buy them or they're for free. So with this project, because we had those limitations, we were able to use a lot of those assets and customize them, make them in the way that we wanted them to look, and utilize them to build out this entire production. A lot of people do have this thought process that using pre-made assets is like a cheat. I don't necessarily agree with it. I believe if they weren't meant to be used, they wouldn't be on the marketplace, or they wouldn't exist. So I think those are the assets that you should be using. But I think there's this, I don't know if it's an ego or a stigma about using pre-made assets, but that's why they're there. And as you can see from the finalized Playing the Odds, using pre-made assets can help you actually finish your production. So.
Yeah, I think you did an excellent job as being able to pull everything together. And I think it's really important. In the past, when I've seen animation on online and small productions, that people have really done what I call pitch animations. They're just putting together, showing little things here and there that they can do what they're capable of, but they're not really telling a story.
Right.
And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of these amazing animation pitches that I've seen over the years have kind of faded away, because you get stuck in what I call pitch production hell. Somebody says, "Hey, I want to do that," and then the next thing you know, it never gets done.
Right.
And then you see those same people doing animation for other people, other works, but you never see that particular thing that they did that got people's attention in the first place. That kind of thing. And what I like about this project is that we are telling a story, and it's a story that we can continue to tell on our own, and build a following from it, just the way we're doing it and stuff. So I got one last question for you. Playing the Odds episode 2. In a perfect world, what would you like to have to create that next episode?
Love, Death, and Robots production level equipment. Honestly, and I say that jokingly, but also in a serious fashion. I think the same amount of equipment, of the same quality of equipment that went into some of the productions in Love, Death, and Robots, because you and I had talked about the quality level of that production before. Um, I think that can help us to really push the bar a little bit further when it comes down to what we were talking about earlier, the facial expressions, the subtle nuances, also the time for animating. Uh, Having motion capture will definitely help, like motion capture suits, as opposed to using an online motion capture, which can be faulty, requires a lot of cleanup. Um, Better computers is another thing, and more great people to work on the production. I think that's going to be another thing that's really going to just push it to the next level. We have a great team so far, so I think the more we get great people in, then the greater the production is.
Well, hey, you did an excellent job on this. Being able to work with you on the animation, seeing what you were able to do with the storyline, even expanding it and doing it and adding to the storytelling, coordinating the animation with the music from Otis Galloway and with sound and with Paula being able to be in and work with it as well. I think we created a great animation. I know it's something that everybody's looking to see the next episode of. And I know that and you guys can rest assured that Mark will be there to make that happen. And so again, appreciate everything that you've done. I'm happy to have the opportunity to work with you and to continue to work with you on all this. And so,
Likewise.
you guys have heard it here. We're ready to take this to the next level. We're ready to go into episode 2. So continue to watch the video, continue to share the video, take a look at the merchandise and the books that we have to support support the episode, and all that will lead to us being able to create episode 2 at a faster pace, and keep telling this great story that you guys are loving. Anything else you'd like to say, Mark, before we wind it up?
No, thank you to everybody that even fed money, energy, attention into this project. Uh, it was a lot of work, but we're proud of the end result. We're looking forward to creating more amazing stuff for you guys. So please continue to support, continue sharing the video. Let's get it over 1,000 views. And if you're watching this video when it's over 1,000 views, let's get it to 10, and then 100, and then 1,000,000. So
There you go. That's what
yeah,
I'm talking
thank you
about.
guys. Thank
Sorry. Hey, Mark, thanks for stopping by here at 11 Questions and sharing your time with us. And hey, guys, take a look at it. We'll have information after the end of the video where you can go take a look at the video, look at the episode, support us in all other ways possible. And we'll be back with another Playing the Odds interview soon. Y'all take care. Peace.
you. Peace.